All right, welcome back to Dinner Television. Of course, March 8th is International Women's Day, and once again, plenty of focus being put on the gender gap that's still very much prevalent between men and women, largely on the earning front, but perhaps also when it comes to entrepreneurship. And to talk to us about that right now, joined by one face that's certainly familiar to Edmontonians, Teresa Spinelli with the Italian Center, and of course, Peter Kinkaide, Director of Raintree Financial. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
So let's talk about this, because you guys are actually hosting an event on International Women's Day to kind of focus on the gender gap. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so
Peter is being sponsored by Raintree, so I'll let Peter speak to that.
Absolutely. So we decided to start this event last year, and so this is our second annual event, and really it's about bringing women together, talking about some of the successes that have happened in the past, sharing stories about their success, and talking about finding solutions for ending that gender gap, and creating and sharing strategies and success stories about how to mobilize women, how to get them to start their own business, how to improve their understanding of financial matters and those sorts of things.
Well, I think it's safe to say that there might not be a better success story in our city than this woman right here. Talk about your experiences throughout the years in terms of being a woman, of being a successful entrepreneur, and some of the challenges you might have found.
So I was really blessed to inherit a really good business, a very European business, very Italian business, very old school. So, I was the only woman. Actually, when I took over, I think in 2000, we had 36 employees and 34 of them were men. So that's how it started. And of course, I wasn't supposed to take over. My brother was supposed to take over because he was the male. And my brother unfortunately passed away, so here I am. So lots of struggles. I mean, trying to find out, what people wanted, what my style of leadership was going to be, how I could let people know that my decision was the decision, because I was a woman and kind of people just thought of me as a little kid who used to play cashier, so they didn't really take me very seriously.
I'm assuming that you've had people, certainly both of you have had women come up to you and kind of broach this topic, talk about this, and certainly last year during the first International Women's Day Forum. What are some of the concerns that you hear from women who are looking to get into entrepreneurship?
What I hear is that for them it's very hard to get bank loans, very, very difficult. They find that because they're a woman, they are kind of discriminated against. And just depending on the type of industry that they're in, right? And all the challenges and balance, work-life balance, right? Because a lot of people have young families. How are they going to do it? How are they going to grow a business and grow their family at the same time?
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just, confidence, right? Sometimes they just need that confidence that they can do it, and part of that is learning. It's sharing information. It's learning about how to start a business, how to find success. Key ingredients that help maybe start from that startup phase and get into that growth mode.
Well, I'm kind of curious then, just from that front, we know that there's still a very large gap that exists on the income, the earning front when it comes to men to women, in particular here in Alberta. What about the entrepreneurial gap? Is that still fairly significant? Is that in line with what we would see on the income gap?
It is, yeah, both from the earnings perspective, so female entrepreneurs do actually earn less than male entrepreneurs on average, and only about 1/3 of businesses are started by female entrepreneurs, so there's still a clear gender gap there.
And I'm kind of curious, because we're talking about what women can do, right? What can men do to perhaps assist in this category?
Well, and sometimes I get asked, why did you start a conference like this? And part of it was about, bringing attention to the issues. And part of it is about celebrating women. I mean, 50% of us, I guess, are women, and 50% of us aren't. I think in my perspective, or from my perspective, on International Women's Day, in part, it should be men celebrating women. And so this was a little piece of what we could do, was start a conference like this.
Now, obviously, you've built up an enormous business empire, the most delicious business empire in Edmonton, I might add. What might you kind of advise? What would you suggest to someone who's maybe at home watching this right now? They've got the next $1 million idea in their mind, but they're just not sure what to do with it.
I think that I would tell them that make sure that it's their passion. It's something that they love to do, that they see themselves doing it for years to come, because it's not easy. Sometimes people go into business and they don't make $1 million overnight and then they're all upset. Well, it doesn't work that way. You got to put in the time. and it's a lot of time, and you have to make sure it's something you really love, because you're going to have to breathe and live that business for a while to get it to go.
Well, there are words of wisdom and living proof that in fact can be, you can actually make that happen. Just real quickly, remind the viewers at home, when is this happening? When's the event happening?
So it's on Wednesday here in Edmonton. It's hosted at the DoubleTree, and unfortunately for those viewing it, we are sold out. But we are webcasting the event, so if people are interested in watching the webcast, please come to our website and you can register there to watch.
Perfect. There you go. Teresa, Peter, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story and about what we can do in terms of helping develop and push forward on female entrepreneurship. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Don't go too far. We've got more dinner television coming up. Right now, though, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Stay tuned.